My name is Emily Parker, and I was raised in the calm, tree-lined suburbs just outside Seattle, Washington, a place where rainy mornings felt endless and quiet afternoons seemed to stretch forever. My childhood, by most standards, was simple and unremarkable. School, neighborhood streets, weekend routines, it all blended together in a familiar rhythm. Yet hidden within that ordinary life was something truly rare and unforgettable. That was my friendship with Daniel Mitchell. Daniel wasn't merely the boy who lived a few houses away. He was much more than a neighbor or a classmate. From the moment he entered my life, he became a constant, an emotional anchor during my most formative years. He understood my silences, my moods, my unspoken worries, even when I didn't fully understand them myself. With Daniel, I never felt the need to explain who I was. He simply knew. We met in elementary school, two quiet kids seated near each other, bonding over our shared habit of filling notebook margins with sketches and doodles instead of paying attention in class. While others talked about cartoons or sports, we talked about ideas, drawings, and imaginary worlds. Those small moments slowly stitched our lives together. By the time we turned 12, we were inseparable: bike rides after school, summer evenings at the park, laughter echoing through streets that felt like they belonged only to us. We made promises the way children do, innocently but sincerely. We swore that no matter what happened, no matter where life carried us, we would always stay friends. At that age, forever felt achievable. But life has a quiet way of interrupting even the strongest promises. When I was 14, everything changed. My father was offered a job in Boston, an opportunity too important to refuse. Within weeks, boxes filled our home, and suddenly the world I knew was slipping away. The reality of leaving Seattle, and Daniel, hit me harder than I expected. The night before we moved, Daniel and I sat together on the old swings at our neighborhood park. The air was cool, and the sky glowed with soft shades of orange and purple, a classic Pacific Northwest sunset. Neither of us spoke much at first. Words felt fragile. Before I left, Daniel reached into his pocket and handed me a bracelet, woven threads, slightly uneven, something we had learned to make years earlier in art class. He tied it gently around my wrist and said, "No matter how far you go, this means you'll always carry a piece of Seattle, and a piece of me." I didn't realize then how much that moment would stay with me. At first, we tried to hold on. We wrote long letters filled with details about our days, our schools, the people we were becoming. Later, letters turned into emails. Emails turned into short messages. And eventually, without any dramatic ending or goodbye, silence took over. Life moved forward, as it always does. Years passed quietly. I graduated high school, went on to college in New York, and built a career in publishing. I met new people, formed new relationships, and told myself that childhood friendships were meant to fade, that they belonged to a chapter of life that eventually closed. Still, during quiet moments, Daniel would return to my thoughts. Late at night. During long walks. In the spaces between achievements. I often wondered, what became of him? Nearly 15 years later, after a draining day at work, I found myself scrolling through social media, mindlessly, without expectation. Then suddenly, I froze. There he was. Daniel. Standing in front of a community art gallery in Portland, Oregon. He looked older, more grounded, but that smile, his smile, was unmistakable. It carried the same warmth that once filled our childhood summers. My heart raced. Before doubt could stop me, I typed a message. "Daniel, is this really you?" To my surprise, he replied within minutes. His response was warm, familiar, effortless, like no time had passed at all. One message led to another, then another, until our conversations became daily rituals. We filled in the gaps of 15 years. He told me about his journey, his struggles, and how painting had become more than a passion, it had become his life. I told him how often I had missed him, even when I tried not to. Weeks later, he invited me to Portland to attend one of his exhibitions. I hesitated. What if time had changed us too much? What if memories were better left untouched? But deep down, I knew I had to go. The day of the reunion, I boarded a train, my emotions tangled between excitement and fear. As forests and rivers passed outside the window, childhood memories replayed in my mind like scenes from an old film. I held the bracelet tightly, faded but unbroken. When I arrived at the station, my heart pounded. Then I saw him. Daniel stood just a few feet away, holding a small bouquet of daisies, the same flowers we used to pick as children. "Emily," he said softly. Tears filled my eyes. We spent the day walking through the city, talking endlessly, laughing as if no years had separated us. At the gallery, one painting stopped me completely. Two children sat on swings beneath a glowing sunset. "That's us, isn't it?" I whispered. Daniel nodded. "I painted it the week you moved." In that moment, I understood something powerful. Time may reshape people, but real connections never disappear. That weekend felt timeless. We talked about dreams, regrets, and the strange beauty of reconnecting. On my last night, Daniel said, "Maybe this isn't just about finding an old friend. Maybe some stories aren't finished yet." As I boarded the train home, bracelet on my wrist and heart full, I knew he was right. This wasn't the end.